Hey guys, it's Daniel's son. Welcome back to the channel, and this is a 1988 Ferrari Testarossa. We're actually doing the major service. I wasn't planning on starting this car right now, but the car that I was currently working can't be touched right now. For some reason, it's gonna probably come up on a Hoovy video here real soon. So we're gonna roll with the punches. We're gonna start on this. It's extremely cold right now. It's in the morning. I gotta clock in and start working here real soon. So I just wanted to record this intro before I took it apart so you guys see what we're gonna be dealing with. But yes, I'm gonna be filming it. I'm gonna show as much as I can. And yes, the engine is coming out of this Ferrari Testarossa. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so as you can see, I already took the deck lid off just because I cannot reach anything back there with it on. So we had to take it off, plus it'll probably hit that heater right there. So yeah, we went ahead and took it off. We have our fender covers. I kind of want you guys to see what we're gonna be working with. You know, it is a massive engine and will be coming out of the bottom. You can see the compressor, the alternators up front. We got our fuel distributors, and you know, we got the exhaust that's all coming down with it. So I already drained the fluids on it just to kind of get that out of the way. And then today I'm gonna see if I can film as much of the removal process as I can. And you know, actually during working hours, I did ask permission. So let's go ahead and get started. Now we have a little bit of a challenge because I wasn't able to get this car running before taking it apart. Sometimes you really want to do that, make sure the car runs right before you decide to pull the engine out. Do the belt service to make sure that you didn't introduce a new problem when you put it all back together. Now in this case, because the fuel system is so bad and there's leaks, there's fuel leaks, and the timing belt's so old, we are not gonna take a risk on that. We're just gonna take it out, check everything, make sure that everything is perfect, and then put it back in, and hopefully there shouldn't be any new issues introduced when we put the engine back in. Now that we got the battery out, we're gonna go ahead and take the wheels off, we're gonna go ahead and take the fender liners off, and I am gonna try to film. Like I said, we are gonna be busy today. I'm gonna be on the clock. I can film stuff here and there, but I'll try to catch as much as I can. If not, I'll kind of do a update after I get the engine out, tell you what I had to remove, and then hopefully that'll be sufficient. Again, we're rolling with the punches on this one. Ready?
Yep.
Doesn't it look bigger? Okay, so before we continue with the video, I actually want to do a quick shout out for a friend of mine called AJ. He has a podcast called the Prancing Horse. It's all about Ferrari, and he's been in the business for about 10 years now. He actually started washing cars, if I remember correctly, and worked all the way up to, I believe he's a general manager right now. So pretty insane. You know, if you ever wanted to get into the brand or whatever, you might want to listen to his podcast, kind of get an idea of what he did to be able to climb up the ranks. So yeah, so I'll have the link in the description so you guys can check it out. I believe he has multiple channels where you can go to like the Amazon, YouTube, Spotify, and stuff like that. So they're all available for you guys to listen in if you guys want to. And yeah, he talks a little bit about the history of Ferrari and also stuff that he's done throughout his career. So I think you guys will enjoy it very much. Okay, so we finally got the engine out, and as you saw, everybody was helping. Now, I couldn't go into detail while I was taking the engine out because I was actually on the clock, and Wizard was nice enough to let me film, you know, here and there. I didn't want to take advantage of the privilege, so I decided to kind of skip a lot of stuff. But we're going to talk about it right now. I'm going to tell you what do you have to disconnect, what do you have to, you know, make sure this is all cleared whenever you're coming out with the engine. That way you guys kind of get an idea. Maybe I can film it on the way back in, but, you know, I didn't plan on filming this car right now. I was going to film it on Saturday where I have a little bit more freedom. But yeah, we were on the clock. We had to get it done. And as you saw, everybody was helping out to get the engine out, have this out and ready to go. Okay, so before we start, I have this cover off and the belts off because, you know, Friday after I took the engine out, I wanted to see how old the belts are, and I'm going to talk about that here in a second. But let's start with stuff that we needed to take off as the engine's coming out. It's actually not a lot. It's very easy to take these engines out, and let me show you what I mean. So we have two coolant hoses that you can actually reach. There's a hose clamp that you get from up here from this side, and then there's a hose over here. Now this hose, you kind of leave it on as you're coming down, it'll pop off. You'll have a little bit of coolant coming out, but you know, you can just trap it with a tray or something like that. Now this coolant hose up here is really easy to get off. You get the 2 clamps off, you pull it off, that's easy. Now you also have the throttle cable, which actually comes up through here, through this clamp right here and into the middle right here, and I'll show you where it actually bolts on. Then you have 2 oil lines right here. These are like a 38 millimeter or something like that. It's a massive size. I have big wrenches for that reason. So right here we have the main battery power. So that's going to be your main power cable going from the battery in the front of the car all the way to the back. So you just pull that off, you unplug it. It's really easy. You have your parking brake cable, which is just a easy mechanism to kind of take apart. Over here you have like the brake metering valve, and that obviously you can just disconnect it from here. It splits both lines to each caliper, so it makes it easier to disconnect. And over here we have where it connects to the chassis. These are kind of your cradle bolts right here. You know what I mean? There's 16 of them total. So yeah, it takes a while. Sometimes I take most of them off and then I leave a couple whenever it's ready to come out, and I set it on the table and then I get those 2 off, so I don't have to be underneath the car for so long while I'm doing this job. Now this one right here is a hose that I missed on the way out. No, it didn't hurt or anything like that. Grimes actually caught it. He heard the crunching from the hose and was like, hey, I think there's might be something connected still. So we got that off, and obviously I forgot the throttle cable too, but that didn't, I caught that before we even came out too much with the engine. Over here we got some fuel lines. So we got the fuel line over here. It goes to the fuel filter. We got, one on each side. Then we have these, which are returns right here. We also have to disconnect those. Vacuum lines, so we have some vacuum lines up here. And over here, this ones, I left them on here because they were easier to disconnect from the car than from up here. We also have the AC lines for the AC compressor, and you just unthread them, tuck them in, and they're fine, they're out of the way. So over here, we don't have much. So we have the fuel line, which we already talked about. The PCV hose just disconnects from here. There's an air duct that goes into the alternator for cooling. And then over here we have the return line for the fuel system. And then down here there's going to be another hose coming up and out for the air pump. And then we got another line right here coming off of this. And then we have an additional air hose going up here. Now over on this side, a few more things, but nothing crazy. We have the temperature sensor control board. Basically, this is where both ECUs are. You just unbolt this, unplug it, and then just pull it out. You don't have to pull the individual lines or anything like that, so it makes it really easy. And then we have the ECU harness. As you can see, you just unplug the 2 main ECU connectors and then that additional connector, which I can't remember exactly where it goes to, but super easy. Now we got these are for like some solenoids that go underneath. Can't remember what they do, I have to look it up. But yeah, as you can see, there's really not much for it to come out. It was actually very simple. We also have that shifter, which I talked about. I was able to record that real quick, but the shifter goes in here, down here, so that's pretty easy. Yes, you have to adjust them when you go back in. There is a procedure on the manual, but it's fairly easy. It's nothing crazy, and yeah, again, this is very easy to take out. All you really have to do is pay attention, have people to help you. That's why I had everybody come over and help me out, make sure that we didn't miss anything, because something broken on this car is far more expensive than any other car. So 15 minutes of everybody helping in the shop to make sure that the engine comes out safely, definitely a good investment. Now that you saw everything that's required to take this engine out, I want to talk about the timing belts and the main reason we're taking this engine out. Now, as you know, the car came in for a fuel leak, but then we saw that the car's been sitting for a while, so we decided to explore a little bit, and we saw that the car has been lacking maintenance for a while because it's been sitting. The owner's extremely busy. He doesn't have time to drive them or enjoy these cars. But again, he wants to make it right. He wants to make sure that the car is in perfect condition. So he's like, do everything, which again, it's not really a big deal. This is something that I did all the time at Ferrari. You know what I mean? Some of these customers just don't have time to drive them. They can own them and stuff like that. They're investments. They like to look at them. They just can't enjoy them. Pretty much every Testarossa that I ever worked on was the same thing. It was a major service because it hadn't been done for a little bit, and then fuel issues because it's been sitting for a while. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the belt. As you can see, the car's been stored in a very nice place because the belt's not cracked or anything like that. It's not extremely worn, so it doesn't have a lot of miles on it. You can still see the lettering. It's a little bit faded, but nothing crazy. But that tells you right there that the car's been stored in a climate control facility for a long time, which is good. You know what I mean? That keeps everything soft and keeps the car, in better shape. It lasts longer and stuff like that. So this is nice because it really preserves the car. Now let's take a look at the date code, and I found that the date code is this one over here for this Dayco Isoran. This is actually a Ferrari belt made by Dayco. And as you can see, the date is right here, and you can see the first number is a 10, indicating that this is a 2010 belt. So these belts are about 14 years old. You're supposed to do the service about every 5 years. Now, again, this is the main reason we didn't want to start the car and start driving it. We don't know the condition of the bearings, if there's rust in it or whatever from sitting. So we decided not to get the car running before actually doing the major service. That is the main reason. Also, we couldn't really send this car out with old timing belts. We have to double check and make sure, because we didn't have information on them. So we decided to go ahead and check the timing belts and make sure that they are good. And as you can see, they are not. They're very old. You know, maybe some people will be like, oh, don't worry about it, those are good because they were in climate controlled conditions. We're not going to take a risk with this engine because there's not a lot of them, and the examples that are out there are extremely expensive. So obviously we're not going to take a risk. Customer's not going to take a risk. We're going to get this car back in perfect condition. We're going to clean it up. We're going to get it running. So this car will be preserved for the next 20, 30 years in this nice of a condition. Now I'm going to close out the video right here. I hope you guys stay tuned on this project because it's going to be awesome. I'm going to show you guys how I do this job, what we have to fix, the fuel system and all that stuff. And again, sorry for the noise. It's just the heaters going on. It's a little chilly this morning. But yeah, if you guys are excited for this content, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, definitely share with anybody who might be interested. And I will definitely be catching you on the next video.